Greetings, fire signs. Now, don't go anywhere. I've got a little introduction or group astrology to give you, so you can skip through to your timestamps below for your rising sign readings. But I wanted to have a little huddle. I reckon it might be nice for this full moon. I'm feeling it already, and if you're feeling a little exhausted, a little wrung out, a little unsure of how you're going to put more gas in the tank and keep going, then I want to explain to you maybe a couple of things that might be aiding and abetting this feeling of just exhaustion. So the sun is in Gemini at 13 degrees. We're sort of mid-season for this full moon. And that means that the moon is at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, right across the way, opposites. So we've got this great big Sagittarius full moon that's kind of normally would be really enthusiastic and really full of potential, and there might be a lot of things that you've been working on that you're kind of maybe looking forward to, releasing at the full moon. This one is in a particular configuration with an asteroid that I want to explain a little bit to you, the significations of this asteroid. It's an exact trine with the moon, which means exactly 120 degrees away. So fire sign to fire sign, the moon is speaking directly to the asteroid Pallas Athena at 13 degrees of Leo. Now, the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because, number one, I had a beautiful reading last week with someone called Kirstine in Scotland, and we were talking about the significations of Pallas Athena because this asteroid played a specific role in Kirstine's chart. And it was after the fact, in the follow-up to the reading, that she had published the most beautiful bit of poetry in relationship to the mythology of Athena. And it shook me, and it tied in a lot of different hooks from a lot of different parts of life that I found really profound at this time. I'm going to read the passage to you first. So Kirstine posted this beautiful image of Medusa that she had drawn in tribute to Athena and had attached this prose. I'm going to read it to you, and then we can go backwards. I'll make you a trade. Your beauty for stone. Your sea-beloved tresses for venom-filled snakes. Your innocent doe eyes for frigid gaze. The sea is in the habit of ravishing what does not belong to him, taking without consideration. But, sweet girl, I promise you, I will not allow this to be your ruin. You are sacred, one of my own, and no cruel chaos will devour you again. Choose terror over maiden, relinquish your human, and I will turn you into a goddess in your own right, a deity of the monster, a myth that will scare men for all the years and their seasons. It's pretty powerful words. And if we think about the original mythology of Athena, she was in fact the one that ordered Medusa to change from maiden to monster, that cursed her with the hair of snakes and the gaze that would turn you to stone. It was because Poseidon or Neptune had, without consent, taken advantage of Medusa. That was written by someone called Nikita Gill. It's from a book called Great Goddesses, which I cannot wait to read the full thing. I was shocked by the profundity of that beautiful, beautiful stanza. And what Nikita's done is reimagined some of the ancient mythology. It was all from the hands of men, and claimed ownership over the significations, or has changed the intent Athena was protecting Medusa in this rewriting from ever having something like that happen to her again. I find that really powerful at this time. I've got a little print here. This was made in 1998 by moi. I was 14 years old and obsessed with Greek mythology and the goddesses. In my only attempt at a lino print, I made this image, and for reasons perhaps unknown back then, but for reasons that are incredibly, incredibly pertinent to me now. I'm also wearing this crunchy leather jacket, as you can see. It's part of my armor from years before. I haven't actually worn it for maybe about 3 years now. It's a bit stiff. And in some way, it reminds me of how I, in my life and experience, put armor on to protect myself. That's what these readings are going to be about. We're going to look to Athena as a source of power and a source of protection at this full moon, I think. And if we go with Nikita Gill's reimagining of the myth, then rather than an act of spite, it was a protection spell that she was casting over her sister. So, get comfy. I'm going to explain to you individually where these asteroids, where these points are playing out. Before you go, I'm going to remind you about the full moon ritual that I'm holding on the 4th of June. That's when this full moon will be exact. I'm going to be on Zoom for about 2 hours, and I'm going to be sharing stories, and I'm going to be reading cards, and I'm going to be casting my own spell of protection for us at that time. So yeah, you can head to my website, umaruby.com, and register your place. I think I've got it as $50, but there is a discount code, 6 of Pentacles, that works for all of my work in perpetuity. If you ever wanted a reading from me and money's difficult, then you can put in the 6 of Pentacles discount code, no questions asked, and you can receive the reading at a more affordable price for you. So yeah, I hope that was all right. I'm going to be telling this story to each of the elements. So you're my first one, my fire sign. So I hope that there was some things in there for you that you registered. But yeah, let's jump into the astrology, into the horoscopes. Take care. Hello, Aries rising. Welcome to your horoscope for the Sagittarius full moon happening on Sunday, the 4th of June at 1:43 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. So let's have a look at this. So the moon is becoming its fullest, and it's going to be in your 9th house, which is where we expand our mind and where we develop a relationship with spirituality, philosophy, and mythology. So kind of pertinent, I think, for this time around. The Athena asteroid that I was telling you about, which is at 13 degrees of Leo, is sitting in your 5th house of self-expression, how you create and how you develop a relationship with art. So let's have a little think about the last bit of time and the eclipses that we've sort of eased up on in Taurus and in Scorpio, your 2nd house where you're going to earn some coin, and your 8th house, the house of grief and contracts with other folks. It's been a sticky time for you, and I hope that you're feeling that you're getting a sense of autonomy back, that you're feeling powerful in your abilities and in your ideas and in your work. Now, what I want to do is, well, we will talk about it. There's one way to sort of read the moon and see who's working on team with the moon is to look to the planet that holds rulership over the sign that the moon is in. Long story short, the planet Jupiter is the holds rulership over the sign Sagittarius. So the planet that expands and brings optimism and bounty and a fresh perspective and hope is the guiding light for the sign Sagittarius. So you can sort of make that link, that sort of optimistic quality that Sagittarius people have, and that willingness to learn, willingness to kind of open up their mind and move forward. So at this moon, Jupiter is in Taurus. And then remember I said last fortnight that Jupiter will be in Taurus for the next year. So there's going to be a continual wave of optimism, a fresh perspective in your second house. How you have a relationship with money, how you have a relationship with resources. What do you do with them, and how do you make them work for you and work for others? So that's really nice. Now, what I'm thinking to myself is, what is the relationship with your creativity, with your artistry, and your sense of like world philosophy or spirituality? Is that something that is linked in your work? Because to have Pallas Athena there, who, remember, is sort of born from the head of Jupiter or Zeus. Athena didn't have a childhood. Athena was sort of fully matured and also in armor from the moment of birth, came from the head of Zeus. That's the mythology. So there's something really strident about this energy in your creative zone. And so I can't help but wonder, and it might not have to be so literal as you're, really into astrology or ancient myth, or you're really into, you're a devout, there's devout, what's the word I'm looking for? You are devout in your religion. That doesn't have to be that at all. But I wonder, what it's sort of saying to me, Aries, is that this is probably a really great moon for you to remind yourself that the act of creation, that making art, that showing up to the gig, especially in times when it feels like you're on your last skerrick of gas, like it's just crud in the bottom of the tank that you're operating from. And that's just reminded me of another thought that I wanted to mention, is that being an artist is a thankless task. It's a compulsion for those of us that are, and that can be really frustrating in times when you're down. When you're up, you're up. And when you're on a roll, when the muse is struck, there's no stopping you. When you're checking your bank balance to see if you can afford bread and milk, that's a bitter pill to swallow. And I'm sure that there might be authority figures in some way, their voices in your head sort of saying, well, there's no money in it. And you think to yourself, yeah, I know that. This is my devotion, though. This is my active service to the world. I'm using really lofty language in this reading, Aries, and I'm going to continue to do so. So bear with me. But if we're going to work with this Sagittarian energy of kind of fervor, then I want you to kind of maybe have some ownership over that too. Yeah, that's what Pallas Athena in Leo, which is really proud, really expressive, really creative. That's what she's come to tell you today at this reading. And so maybe at this moon, when we cast our mind to the 9th house, we can sometimes think of academia too, university. So if you're not book smart, this is Pallas Athena speaking through me to you, babe, letting you know that I don't give a shit. Your contribution is just as mighty, just as important, what you're focused on and what you're doing now, you're finding the language to get there. And I hope that there's some sense of feeling of sort of like there's a spark that can come at this full moon for you, Aries. I really do. I really want to kind of got an image of like two sticks, you know, sort of doing that to get the fire happening. I've got the tarot card here. So at 13 degrees of Sagittarius, we are working with the 9 of Wands. And so this is probably why I'm feeling this kind of exhaustion, or feeling this kind of like, oh, I don't even know if I can friggin', like, how much more do I have in me? That's the sentiment sometimes with the 9 of Wands. But I will remind you that they're standing up, bruised and battered, head bandaged. They're still standing vigil. They're not going anywhere. And so this is another glimmer of Pallas Athena coming through me to you, Aries. You've got the stuff to do this, and you've got a great year with Jupiter in your second house, okay? You've got a great opportunity over the next 12 months to receive what Jupiter's maybe whispering to you and to incorporate it into your work. Now, you don't have to be so, it doesn't have to be so literal as you're sort of like a working artist, although this is kind of the message that's sort of really quite strong. And I can empathize with that feeling. I think as I've got my old leathery jacket on, my old protective barrier, and I am reminded, it even smells like the old days actually. It smells like hairspray and talcum powder and vodka, you know. I used to perform on the stage all the time. All the time. That was my steez. That was my thing. I was a showgirl. And when I was up, I was up. And when I was inspired, there was no stopping me. Got to a point, though, where the mask became too heavy. And what was inside of me was crying out for a bit of fresh air. And that the trappings of the position in life, you know, the sort of like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm an artist, you know, truth, beauty, freedom, love, whatever they said in Moulin Rouge, you know, that's my thing. That's what I do. But, you know, sort of as you get older and as the world changes around you too, and as things get so quickly consumed, is another thing that I wanted to talk about. This idea of continually feeling that you have to generate, you have to turn it over, spit it out, you know, that gig finished, what's the next gig? It can be like, whoa, well, frick, like, can I stew a little bit in the juices of accomplishment for a moment? The world right now is telling us that we probably can't, and that everything is disposable. Even filming these horoscopes, I've really found, you know, it takes me a lot to keep my portal open and I love it. When I'm up, I'm up. When I'm doing it, I'm doing it. But that disposability, I guess, and that's not to say that's no shade on anybody. This kind of work is disposable because there's always another moon to talk about. But I am reminded, for whatever reason, of my past and the old days, and having that feeling, that anxious feeling of having to continually turn that wheel, turn it over, show up to this, more hairspray, more friggin' powder, you know, cover the bags, all of that stuff. So at this full moon in Sagittarius in your 9th house, lighting up your kind of philosophical leanings, you know, where you might publish something one day, where you might, if you're an academic, you know, if you're working towards a book, maybe, or if you're working towards a big project that you've had a big hand writing, this is the moon at whatever stage you're at in that process to stand under that moon, let it wash over you and be like, yeah, cool, I've got this. Fill me up, moon. It's funny, the moon has a lot of different significations and a lot of different teaching styles of astrology. In the esoteric philosophy, which is one of the ones that I'm really interested in, there is a lot of language around the moon being from the past and kind of, you know, having that sort of we are moved by the moon in the same way that we are sometimes moved by our traumas. And I'm getting my head around it, and the witch in me is sort of like, no, the moon's alive, the moon's full of juice. The moon, I need the moon. I'm moved by the moon, I can't help it. And I think that I'm kind of going to sit on that, in that position for the moment, although I'm still going to continue to read. But I was saying that because you're a human being and you have every right to have a tantrum if you need to, but don't throw anything that you're working on in the bin. I'll go back to Medusa. I'm really glad I didn't chuck her in the bin. I wanted to, and I've never actually made a lino cut ever again. I'm too rough. I'm a bit of a slob in everything, I'll be honest with you, but I kind of like that. It's my style. I'm more of an expressionist than a craftsman. That's what I'll say. I'm really like fine detail in things like that. When I was, I'm sorry, I'm talking about myself too much. This is about you, Aries. The sentiment was, I'm really glad I didn't chuck this in the bin, because I get to look at it now 25 years later and be like, you know what, kid, that's not bad. And I'm going to use that in my new stees in astrology. So everything that you're working on now, Aries, has a purpose, and you might not know what it is at the moment. But as far as that impulse to trash it, I would really be urging you and encouraging you to resist that right now. Yeah. Did you want some tarot? We'll have some tarot. Oh, we've got like a minute left. I'm just going to pull you one card, I think, Aries, just to cap off this. No. Come on, get yourself together, Uma. All right, one, please. One lovely card for Aries. Okay, I got the 9 of Cups, and it came in reverse for me. So this is echoing that feeling of dissatisfaction, emotional dissatisfaction. When the 9 of Cups is upright, there's a great feeling of like calm blue ocean and reflection. The character in the 9 of Cups is sitting back and thinking to themselves, you know what? Not bad, kid. I've had a good life so far. All the trials and tribulations. Not all tarot readers read reversals. I tend to, because they kind of happen by accident, because I always try and have everything upright. This feeling that you've got at the moment that's nagging, and it's sort of like it's a bit flummoxing too. It's just sort of like, well, when will I be happy? What will make me happy? Frick. Like, I'm doing everything that I was told that I should do. I'm eating right. I'm trying not to drink too much. I'm a good person. There's this nagging feeling inside that's sort of like, no way. I'm a bit shitty. What I want you to do with that feeling, Aries, is at this moon, and get specific about it too if you can, stand underneath it. So no eclipses, no dramas there. Stand underneath it and tell the moon your problem, or ask, say, what will make me happy, mate? And then have a sleep, and wake up the next day and write down how you feel now. Love you, Aries. If you're leaving me here, can you do me a favor and throw a snake in the comments? Just send me a little, just doesn't have to be anything. You don't have to write anything. Whack a snake in there. I want to see if I can manipulate that algorithm. You take care. If you want your birth chart read, head to umaruby.com. And as I said, the 6 of Pentacles is a discount code that relates to all of my work in perpetuity. So if money's a hassle, whack that code in there and get a reading from me. Take care. I'll speak to you in 2 weeks for the new moon in Gemini. Bye. Hello, Leo. Welcome to your horoscope for the full moon in Sagittarius happening on Sunday, June the 4th at 1:43 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So let's have a little think about Athena. I'm just going to, I'm not going to say Pallas Athena every time. Athena. This is your first house, honey. So further to my description in the intro, Athena was born from the head of Zeus. So in that way, there was less of a feeling of nurturing that occurred in her experience. She was born fully fledged, in full regalia, armor, ready for battle. There was something really gung-ho about Athena's mission and a devotion, I guess, to, the family line. When we think about the reimagining of this myth, I think that this is going to be a really beautiful thing for you to hang on to and maybe investigate too. I'll say it again, the book is called Great Goddesses by Nikita Gill, and I'm really looking forward to sticking my nose further into that. Because this full moon is lighting up your 5th house, which is where we express ourselves, where we create, where we make art and beauty from our perspective through our channel. And Pallas Athena is in your 1st house of spirit. I kind of feel that there's I'm feeling the exhaustion from everyone. And I'm not trying to project my exhaustion because I'm not when I'm on a roll, but there is just this sort of heaviness. It's just sort of holy, okay, back to it, get back on the horse, keep going. That's the kind of feeling. And so maybe there might be a bit more of that for you because of Athena's presence in your 1st house, because there's that sort of real direct mission. When thinking about this new version of the story by Nikita Gill, there's something about protecting those that are vulnerable in our environment and witnessing injustice. And this is the biggest thing, witnessing injustice. There might be a diversion in your usual work, in your creative process, that all of a sudden sounds pretty sharp and pretty direct. And there might be this sort of compulsion for you to speak on behalf of others, or there might be a compulsion for you to call out injustice, if there isn't already, which, let's face it, there probably is a lot of that for you, Leo, at the moment, but always. We look to you to learn how to express ourselves. Bottom line, I say it every time, but it's the truth. And in this moment, at this time, when there's a lot of language around feeling like the wheels are coming off, and there's a lot of fear present, and there's a lot of sort of winding back the clock, we're moving towards a time that none of us want to experience again. And this isn't to say that the United States is sort of the sinkhole that we all sort of orbit around, but the significations of that kind of brutality and that kind of ignorance in that level of power is pretty triggering. And so my mind is cast back to 2016 when we all, were sort of gobsmacked. And we couldn't believe what had happened and were triggered by our own experience with subjugation or with abuse, with invasion of space and body and privacy. I really like that this version of Medusa is here. It was a lino cut that I had made when I was 14. And, much like a lot of us little sensitive souls. I was obsessed with Greek myth, especially the goddesses, and I don't think that I understood the profundity of making this at that time, but as a sigil of protection, I'm really glad that I hang on to these. I think there's like 7 of them. I'm really glad that I never made another liner cut again, but I held on to these images because they are, they're really tying in to this present moment right now. And we do everything that we can to protect each other from harm. And I think that Athena's doing everything that she can to protect Medusa from harm, who is her sister. And so we're protecting our sisters right now. That's what we're doing, Leo. And our sisters come in all variant forms of gender, shape, size, race, colour, creed. We've got to protect our sisters at this moment, and we've got to rally around, and we've got to get mystical about it. I know I've said to you a bunch of times in these readings, the symbol of the ring of salt is laughable to some, very powerful to others. We've got to work on our language. We've got to work on how we express what we're trying to put forward. We've got to be open to the evolution of language and the evolution of consciousness, the concept of what it means to be a human being. And we've got to keep every door and window open for those that need protection at this time. And we've got to positively reinforce their identity. We've got to positively reinforce their experience. We've got to positively reinforce their sense of being. Because there's this, I'm getting like a really tight throat at the moment. It does feel like we're all a little bit shit scared that we're going to lose our voice again, or we're going to be domineered over again, silenced again. That ain't going to happen. I'm with you, mate. And it's shit. And as I've got my old leathery jacket on, I'm reminded of that feeling, that bodily feeling of having to protect yourself. I used to wear this thing so I could walk down the street because I knew no one would fuck with me when I was wearing this. It changed the way I walked. It changed the way I talked. In fact, the tone in my voice now sounds quite different. It sounds quite familiar to perhaps how I used to express myself. Got to remember that I was doing that to protect what was so gentle and vulnerable and soft and in danger on the inside. That's why I made this print probably when I was 14. I want you to, at this Sagittarius full moon, I want you to really recognize and really step into the 5th house, where we express, where we create, where we make magic with our creativity. And I want you to cast your net a little wider in your understanding or sense of inclusivity, because there's a lot of folks right now that don't feel that they can ask for it, don't feel that they can say anything, that they just have to keep their head down and keep going. I'm pretty effing privileged this time around the wheel, and I know that for sure. And I'm intending to use my privilege to speak up, stand up, and protect those that can't do it for themselves. And I reckon that I'm speaking to the right people, Leo. I reckon you've got the stuff. And I tell you what, if you don't, that's all right too. You can you can sit this one out if you need to, mate. I've got you on this one. Let's get you some tarot. Flip. All right. 9 of Wands. Forgive me, this is like really erratic. Not my usual style. I apologize. I got the 8 of Cups in reverse. I got the 9 of Cups and I got the 7 of Wands. The 7 of Wands is you. The 7 of Wands is a valiant warrior who has the ability to protect themselves with their magical capabilities. They're someone who can stand strong in what they believe in. They're someone who has their eye on present danger. And they're someone who can rebuff any interference that comes their way. These 2 cards are speaking to me of perhaps a pull to abandon ship and get the hell out of here. This is urging you not to do that at this time, Leo. Stay put. Stay put. Remember what you've been through. Remember how much you've grown. Remember the beauty sewn into all of this. Remember the power that you hold and put it right there. At this full moon in Sagittarius, I want you to shoot from the heart. I want you to beam that moonlight right back with your heart. I want that to reach around the globe, Leo. I'll catch it on the other side. You've been through so much, mate, and I love you. And I'm so sorry for what you've experienced. And I'm so proud of you for standing up and working from love anyway. What you give is insurmountable. It's unquantifiable, the amount of energy that you consistently pour out to soothe, help, heal other people. It's wild. I'm asking a lot of you at this one, Leo, but I reckon you've got the stuff, and it's Pallas Athena in the first. Suit up and get it done. We're going to be okay no matter what happens. We're going to be okay if we stick together, and we're going to be okay when we recognize the power of a spell. Stony gaze, maybe. Snakes in the hair, sure. Never again, mate. Never again. Flip, that's your reading, Leo. I might have to re-record this one. I'll review it. Much love to you. If you're still here with me, can you please throw me a snake in the comments? I just want to get my head around mastering this algorithm. The more comments, I think, the better. Like and subscribe. I love you heaps, and I'm going to be with you at this moon. If you wanted to come to the ritual, then head to my website. It is $50. There is a discount code 6 of Pentacles for all of my work. That includes every single reading. It's a discount for folks that are having a tough time with cash right now but need a bit of guidance. So please use that if you need to. I will be back with you in 2 weeks for the new moon in Gemini, and it'll be closing out the season, ready to move into Cancer season. So hopefully there'll be some coolant available to all of us as time goes on. Take care. I love you. Power. Power, power, power. G'day Sagittarius rising. Welcome to your horoscope for the full moon in Sagittarius happening on the 4th of June at 1:43 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. So this is an extra special one for you, Sag. This is your first house. This is the house of the spirit, the soul, the motivation, reason maybe for being here. This is all about you. And I really like this for you because you've got some great support, as I said in the intro, from the asteroid Pallas Athena, who's glimmering at 13 degrees in your 9th house of philosophy, mythology, spirituality, and mind expansion. So, where are you going? What are you doing? What are you putting out there? What are you about to hit publish on? And did you want to do it now? Because you could. With this astrology, you really could, if there was something that you were willing to get over to the next, get over the line or into the next phase of things. This would be the perfect moon for that, I reckon, because the lunation, the moon, will be in your first house of self, and Pallas Athena will be having a jive, having a dance, egging you on from the peanut gallery in your 9th house of all of that shit that I just said. Whew, it feels really nice for you. It feels really kind of, there's warrior vibes about this one. Now, when thinking about influence over the lunations, it's always a good thing to think about what planet rules the sign of which the moon is becoming full. Long story short, we always look to Jupiter for you, Sagittarius. We need to follow and track Jupiter around and see what they're up to, because they are going to bring you all of the inspiration and all of the encouragement that you need to get all of the stuff that you need to get done. So at the moment, Jupiter is in Taurus, in your 6th house of the daily grind, of your health, of that feeling of kind of just no ifs and or buts, you just have to do this. So this is a really nice relationship, and it feels like getting strong again. I'm not sure if it's been tricky for you in relationship to your like physical health or your stamina, but hopefully this moon is going to egg you on to maybe have a look at everything and sort of be like, okay, well, this is not working. Done with that. This, and this is working. I'm going to continue with that. But it almost feels like, it's like your web, like sort of, it's a pep rally for you, Sagittarius. And we're sort of like, whoa, you can do it. You can do it. Like, it feels nice. Not for everyone. For other people, it feels a bit intense. But maybe that's just me. The tarot card that we're working with at this time, at this moon, Sag, is the 9 of Wands. So this is 13 degrees of Sagittarius. Okay, this is your middle decan. And check it out. There's a bit of a feeling of exhaustion here. But I want you to remember that this warrior is still standing, and they're holding guard over their magic. They're protecting it. And they're defending it proudly. They're not licked yet. That's a really good thing to remember whenever the 9 of Wands comes out. You're not licked yet, Sag. You've still got it. You're going to keep going. Keep going. Pallas Athena at 13 degrees of Leo is the 6 of Wands. And so this is probably why I'm being a bit of a cheerleader for you right now. But yeah, like procession victory lap is on the horizon. Not there yet, but it's on the horizon. So keep going, keep creating, keep thinking about it. If there's like a third draft that you need to do, then by all means, engage in that third draft. But I've said it to a bunch of people now, don't throw it in the bin. Whatever it is that you've been thinking about, as I'm saying this to you, do not throw it in the bin. Do not put it in the bottom drawer and forget all about it. We actually need what you've got to say at this present time. It's kind of, we're in like a prelude period right now, and the tension is rising, that's for sure. And there's too much language, and I'm not sure if it's just what I'm kind of ingesting. It's a general feeling, though, that people are really frightened. It feels like the wheels are coming off something. And for a lot of us, we're sort of like, whoa, this feels like regression. I had no idea in a million years that we'd be thinking about this sort of stuff now. This isn't progress. This is dull, hateful, boring regression. And the good old days weren't that great. So don't use that as a weapon for your bigotry. Yeah, I've got my old leather jacket on and I haven't worn this thing for 3 years. And it is a symbol for me of protection. It's the mode that I used to get in, the gait that my body used to fall into, my voice, everything about this. There was a time when I was performing. I was a showgirl full time. I was dancing here, there, and everywhere, on every single bar top, in my underpants. Whoever would have me, I'd be there, in my pleaser heels. I was bartending in conjunction with that, and there was a lot of damaging behavior that I was engaging in to keep going. And the biggest damage, I would say, was this like carapace, this sort of like, it felt like the softness inside of me was, my outer shell was calcifying over that to protect, but I was losing myself. I think it's pretty, I'm stoked to have this new book to read, Great Goddesses by Nikita Gill. I can't wait to get into it because it's come for me at the perfect time. It's come for me at a time of like great realization that I don't have to be guilty for what got me to this point. I don't have to feel guilty for needing or wanting to or thinking that I had to protect myself. Putting on my leather jacket so I could walk down the street and not get bashed. No one even tried. And if they did, good luck to him. You see, though, we do this. Medusa, with her snakes in her hair, if Athena turned her into the monster to protect her, what kind of a narrative does that feed us? It paints a pretty grim story, doesn't it? That something beautiful and something gentle and something enticing and gorgeous, to protect it, you need to throw on some armor. You need to have it sprout barbs, because otherwise people will take advantage. It's bloody awful. But this moon in your first house is asking us to engage in that story. I really think that it is. If we look to Athena in the chart, in Leo at 13 degrees, it's an exact trine in your 9th house. Philosophy, mythology. Athena's kind of telling us, I did the best that I could, and I'm doing the best that I can. I'm protecting you, and I'm protecting all of us, as far as Athena can see it. So I want you to take this moon for yourself, Sag. I want you to be as bloody selfish as you need to. You can commune if you want. You can go it alone, whatever you need to do. But keep in your mind the idea that aggression is not your fault. That no attack from the outside is not because of the length of your dress or how high your shoes were, how tight your jeans were. It's got nothing to do with that. It's to do with a culture that we are actively dismantling as we speak, which is probably why they are so aggressive right now. The language is being picked apart, and there's desperate clinging on to old values, old systems, protect the children, all of that stuff. It's just sort of like you've lost it. Who are we protecting them from? From them? No, we need to protect them from you. We're told in tandem, get a sense of humor. Oh, you can't say anything these days. And also think of the children. Like, it's wild. It's so contradictory. It's so hateful. And so, of course, we all suit up, knives out. You're beautiful, Sagittarius, and you've got every right to be as gentle and as slow moving and as small and as delicate as you want to be. Take it at your own pace. This life is yours to live and yours alone. And whatever you're into at any given moment, I want you to take with two hands and lose yourself in it. As a Sagittarius, that's your right. You can do that. Chase that, chase that. Whatever you need to. Keep learning, keep growing. Keep a strong back and an open heart, and you're going to be all right. I'll get you some tarot cards. I've got the Four of Wands in reverse, and I got the Knight of Swords in reverse. And I got the Five of Cups in reverse. Yeah, whatever was said to you, it's not true. However they tried to shut you down, it didn't work. And you've actually got a job to do, Sagittarius. We're going to follow you. Wherever you go, whatever you do, whatever you invest in, whatever you believe to be worth it is. And no amount of cutting words or barbs or questions about your intelligence, your learning style, is going to get in your way. We can actually drop these things once we name them and realize how stupid they are. What a dumb thing to say. Like, it's not true. Too bad, so sad. Like, bye. I've actually got stuff to do. And I'm actually only just beginning. I'm really hitting my stride now after years and years and years and years. And what I've got to say, what I've got to put forward, my perspective, my art, my creativity, my essence, my voice is important. Now, more than ever. More than ever. There are people in this life that are struggling and they've got no voice. They can't afford one. It's too dangerous for them to have one. You've got one, so use it. Lift it up. Come on, what have you got to say? Tell me. I believe you. I believe you, mate. That's your reading, Sag. If you'd like to join me in ritual on the day, it'll be I'm going to start the ritual at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that's on Sunday the 4th. So if you wanted to come along, it is $50, but there is a discount code, 6 of Pentacles. So that will knock off, I think, 25%. That's available to all of my work. So if you ever wanted a birth chart reading, but it's too expensive, throw in the 6 of Pentacles as the discount code, and that will knock the money off, no questions asked. But if you wanted to join, head to my website, umaruby.com. Take care. Love you heaps. And I'll be speaking to you in 2 weeks at the new moon in Gemini. So this will be a nice moment of manifestation for your relationships. If that's something that's been on your mind lately and you want things to change a little bit or open things up, we can do that in 2 weeks at the new moon in Gemini. Take care, Sagittarius. I love you very much. If you're still here with me, please drop a snake in the comments below. Don't have to say anything, but a snake would be awesome. Take care. Bye.